The sun was barely a glimmer on the horizon when Ethan Blake stood at the edge of the research vessel, the salty wind teasing through his hair. The ocean stretched out before him, an endless expanse of dark blue, its depth shrouded in mystery. For most, the sea was a place of tranquility or terror, but for Ethan, it was a whispering enigma, calling to him with a voice only he seemed to hear. Ethan was a seasoned deep-sea diver, his life dedicated to exploring the uncharted territories of the ocean. He was part of an expedition funded by the Oceanic Discovery Institute, tasked with investigating unusual seismic activity deep below the surface. Yet, what intrigued Ethan was not the scientific data, but the inexplicable urge to delve into the ocean's depths, an urge that had begun as a soft murmur, but had grown into an insistent call, a siren song that resonated in its very bones. As the crew prepared the submersible, Ethan felt the familiar flutter of excitement mingled with apprehension. There was something different about this dive, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. He adjusted his gear, the hum of the machines around him fading into the background as he focused on the task ahead. The air was thick with anticipation, and he could sense the shared thrill among the crew, though he alone harbored the odd feeling that something monumental awaited him beneath the waves. "Ready, Ethan?" called Dr. Mary Lewis, the lead oceanographer, breaking into his thoughts. Her voice was a grounding force amidst his swirling thoughts. He nodded, flashing a reassuring smile. "As ready as I'll ever be." The submersible was lowered into the water, its sleek form slipping beneath the surface with an almost graceful ease. Ethan settled into the cramped capsule, the familiar scent of metal and salt water enveloping him. As they descended, the lights from above faded, replaced by the inky blackness of the deep sea. Ethan's heart beat in time with the rhythmic thrum of the submersible's engines, each pulse a reminder of the life teeming invisibly around him. Creatures of the deep that survived in a world of perpetual darkness. Hours passed as they navigated deeper, the pressure outside increasing with every meter. It was then that Ethan first heard the voices, a soft, melodic chorus that seemed to rise from the very water surrounding him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, a hauntingly beautiful sound that tugged at his soul. "Do you hear that?" he asked, his voice hushed, almost reverent. Dr. Lewis looked up from her monitor. "Hear what?" "The voices," Ethan replied, straining to catch the elusive sound. "It's like music." Dr. Lewis shook her head. A hint of concern edged across her features. "Probably just the currents, or the sub's mechanics." Ethan nodded, but a lingering doubt remained. He knew the ocean's sounds well, and this was different. An otherworldly symphony that resonated with something deep within him. As the descent continued, the voices grew clearer, intertwining with the gentle sway of the water. They seemed to beckon him, a compulsion that made his heart race with both fear and exhilaration. "Keep an eye on the readings, Ethan," Dr. Lewis reminded him, her voice returning to the monitors. "We're nearing the seismic epicenter." Ethan forced himself to concentrate, but the siren call of the voices were relentless. They wrapped around him like a warm embrace, urging him to listen, to understand their message. Was it a warning? A promise? He couldn't tell. As they continued their descent, the submersible's lights illuminated the dark waters, revealing strange formations and shadows that danced just beyond their reach. Ethan's pulse quickened. He felt as though he were on the verge of something profound, something that transcended mere exploration. The submersible, finally reached the seabed, and Ethan maneuvered it through the murky depths. As they approached the source of the seismic activity, the ocean floor opened up to reveal a sight that stole his breath. A sprawling city, its structures, both alien and familiar, bathed in a faint ethereal glow. It was a vision unlike anything he had ever anticipated, a place that seemed to pulse with life, even in its desolation. "Are you seeing this?" Ethan whispered, awestruck, unable to tear his eyes from the intricate architecture before him. "Dr. Lewis," her voice crackled with excitement over the intercom. "Incredible! An entire city. This could be the discovery of a lifetime." Ethan guided the submersible closer, the beams of their lights illuminating towering pillars and ornate carvings that decorated the ruins. The architecture was unlike anything known to modern civilization, yet it felt ancient, as though it had been waiting for them, hidden beneath layers of sediment and time. "This is unbelievable," Ethan murmured, his fingers brushing against the controls as he maneuvered to get a better look. "Can you believe this?" Dr. Lewis was already feverishly taking notes, her mind racing with the implications of their discovery. "We need to document everything. If this is truly a lost civilization, the information we gather can change everything we know about human history." As they explored the city, the voices grew louder, the message clearer. They spoke of a civilization long lost to time, a people who had thrived beneath the waves, their knowledge vast and their wisdom profound. Ethan felt a profound connection to these voices, as though they were reaching out across the ages to share their secrets. Each whisper was a thread woven into the fabric of time, and Ethan felt a sense of purpose igniting within him. Days turned into weeks as the expedition studied the submerged city. Each dive revealed more about the enigmatic civilization, its art, its technologies, its beliefs. But for Ethan, the most compelling discovery was the voices, which continued to guide him, their whispers a tapestry of forgotten love. He often found himself drawn back to the submersible, seeking solace in the depth, where the voices thrummed like a heartbeat. One evening, as Ethan sat alone in the submersible, the voices became a chorus, their message resonating with a clarity that left him breathless. They spoke of harmony with nature, of balance and respect for all life, a wisdom that seemed both ancient and strikingly relevant. The words flowed into him, filling the spaces within that had long felt empty. "You have heard our call," the voices intoned, their tone both solemn and hopeful. "Share our knowledge, and let it guide your world to a brighter future." Ethan's heart raced. He felt a profound sense of responsibility, a duty to ensure that the wisdom of the deep was not lost once more. The voices had chosen him for a reason, and he was determined to honor that choice. He knew that he was the bridge between their world and his, a vessel for their ancient truth. "How can I help you?" he whispered into the void, his voice barely a murmur against the symphony of sound. "What do you want me to do?" The response was a gentle wave of warmth, a feeling that enveloped him in reassurance. It was as if the ocean itself was acknowledging his plea, guiding him toward the path he was meant to take. With the expedition drawing to a close, Ethan knew his life would never be the same. The discoveries they had made would revolutionize the understanding of human history, but more importantly, the lessons he had learned from the voices would shape the future. He felt as though he had been entrusted with a sacred duty, a mission to carry the knowledge of the past into the present. Back on the surface, Ethan shared the story of the lost civilization and the wisdom they had imparted. His colleagues were skeptical at first, their scientific minds struggling to grasp the intangible elements of his experience. Yet, the evidence was undeniable. The artifacts they had recovered, the data collected, and even the seismic readings that pointed to the city's existence. Slowly, the world began to listen, inspired by the message of balance and unity that echoed through Ethan's words. Dr. Lewis emerged as an advocate for Ethan's cause, lending her credibility to the narrative. Together, they spoke at conferences, wrote articles, and engaged with the public, sharing the story of an ancient civilization that had thrived in harmony with the ocean. The voices had urged him to share their wisdom, and he was determined to do just that. Ethan continued to dive, his heart forever tied to the ocean and the whispers that had changed his life. Each descent was a pilgrimage, a return to the deep, where the voices resonated like a heartbeat. He began to understand the intricate dance of life that unfolded beneath the waves, the delicate balance that sustained the ecosystems of the ocean. As the sun set over the horizon, Ethan stood once more at the edge of the vessel, the ocean stretching endlessly before him. The whispers of the deep were now a part of him, a song that would echo through the ages, guiding him and the world toward a future built on the wisdom of the past. As the months passed, Ethan found that sharing the wisdom of the deep was not without its challenges. Skepticism and criticism arose from various quarters. Some dismissed his experience as mere hallucinations brought on by the pressures of deep-sea diving. Others accused him of fabricating the entire story for fame and recognition. The whispers that had once felt like a guiding light now echoed in his mind, mingling with the doubts that crept in. Ethan struggled to reconcile his experiences with the harsh reality of public perception. He often found solace in the ocean, diving deeper than ever before, seeking the voices that had once felt so close. But with each passing dive, the whispers grew fainter, as if the very essence of the civilization he'd sought to honor was slipping away. He feared that the world was not ready to embrace the message he had been given, and that he would fail in his mission to share it. During one such dive, as he navigated the ruins of the lost city, he felt a sudden urgency in the voices. They were frantic, a cacophony of sound that sent chills down his spine. Ethan maneuvered the submersible closer to the heart of the city, where the glow was brightest, hoping to uncover what had ignited their distress. "What is it?" he whispered, desperately seeking answers. "What do you want me to know?" The voices swirled around him, rising and falling like a tide. He sensed a warning, a message cloaked in urgency. As he examined the ruins, he noticed a fissure in the ground, a crack that seemed to pulse with energy. The city was not merely a relic of the past, it was alive, a living testament to the civilization that had once thrived there. Back on the surface, Ethan and Dr. Lewis gathered the team to discuss their findings. The energy from the fissure was unlike anything they had encountered before, and the implications were staggering. It was as if the city itself was reacting to their presence, urging them to uncover its secrets. "We need to investigate this further," Dr. Lewis urged, her eyes shining with determination. "If this is a source of energy, it could revolutionize our understanding of sustainable power." Ethan felt a pang of unease. The voices had warned him, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were trying to protect something sacred. "But what if we're disturbing something that shouldn't be disturbed?" he countered. "What if this energy is tied to the civilization's wisdom?" Dr. Lewis frowned. "We have a responsibility to explore this, Ethan. Think of what we could achieve." Ethan's heart raced. He was torn between the pursuit of knowledge and the deep-seated urge to respect the voices that had entrusted him with their message. The ocean had shared its secrets with him, and he felt a duty to honor that bond. "We have to tread carefully," he insisted. "We can't lose sight of what really matters." As the debate raged on, Ethan felt a growing sense of urgency. The whispers of the deep were becoming more insistent, echoing in his mind, urging him to act. He knew that time was of the essence. The very wisdom of the lost civilization hung in the balance, and he couldn't allow it to slip away. Determined to uncover the truth, Ethan made the decision to descend once more into the deep, alone. He felt a strange sense of calm wash over him as he prepared the submersible, the weight of the world above fading with each passing moment. He had to confront the fissure and listen to the voices that guided him, to understand their warning. The ocean enveloped him, the silence punctuated only by the distant calls of creatures lurking in the shadows. The glow of the city beckoned him, drawing him closer to its heart. When he reached the fissure, he felt a surge of energy wash over him. The voices were louder now, a whirlwind of sound that filled the submersible. He could sense their unease, their fear of what might happen if the energy was disturbed. "What do you want me to do?" he pleaded, gripping the controls tightly. "How can I help you?" The voices coalesced into a singular entity, their message clear. "Protect the balance. Share our wisdom. Do not let ambition blind you." Ethan's heart raced as the weight of their words settled over him. He understood now this was not merely an academic pursuit, it was a sacred trust. The civilization had thrived in harmony with the ocean, and he was meant to carry that message forward. But the fissure pulsed with an undeniable allure, a power of promise that tugged at Ethan's curiosity. He could feel the temptation rising within him, the pull of ambition whispering sweetly in his ear. It would be so easy to exploit this discovery for personal gain, to become a hero in the eyes of the world. Yet, the voices were insistent, their urgency rising to a crescendo. Protect the balance. Ethan took a deep breath, steeling himself against the temptation. He had come too far to abandon the wisdom that had been gifted to him. With a resolute heart, he began to navigate the submersible away from the fissure, away from the seductive power that lay within. The voices quieted, their resonance shifting from panic to relief as he made his choice. It was a decision that would define not only his future, but the future of humanity's relationship with the ocean. He understood now that true wisdom lay not in the pursuit of power, but in the preservation of harmony. Back on the surface, Ethan shared his experience with Dr. Lewis and the crew. The skepticism that had once surrounded his claims began to dissipate as he spoke with conviction. He urged them to abandon their plans to exploit the energy of the fissure, to instead focus on understanding the civilization's wisdom and sharing it with the world. "We have a responsibility to protect this knowledge, to ensure it is not lost to greed," Ethan implored, his voice steady. "The ocean has entrusted us with its secrets, and we cannot betray that trust." Dr. Lewis regarded him thoughtfully, her expression shifting from doubt to understanding. "You're right, Ethan. We must honor the legacy of this civilization. We can't let our ambition cloud our judgment." With renewed purpose, the expedition shifted its focus. They began working alongside environmental groups to advocate for ocean conservation, sharing the wisdom of the lost civilization and its teachings on harmony with nature. Ethan found fulfillment in this new mission, his heart aligned with the whispers of the deep that had guided him so faithfully. As the world began to embrace the message of balance and unity, Ethan felt the weight of the past lifting from his shoulders. The voices that had once echoed in his mind were now a source of strength, reminding him of the sacred bond between humanity and the ocean. He continued to dive, each descent a reminder of the responsibility he bore. Years later, as he stood at the edge of the vessel once more, the sun setting over the horizon, Ethan felt a profound sense of peace. The whispers of the deep were now a part of him, a song that would echo through the ages, guiding him and the world toward a future built on the wisdom of the past. The ocean, with all its mysteries, was no longer an enigma. It was a living testament to the power of understanding and respect. In that moment, Ethan knew he had fulfilled the call of the abyss, answering the whispers that had once beckoned him into the deep. The journey was far from over, but he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, armed with the wisdom of the ages and a heart forever tied to the ocean.